thingy, and we'll go ahead and get started. I think I know everybody here. I'll introduce myself, but I'm really excited to have all y'all here tonight. This last week has been really interesting energy kind of coming through. If any of y'all get my newsletter, you may have read a little bit about kind of my perspective on the energies and what's been happening. And so tonight I was like, sometimes I'll get a little thread of maybe what I'm going to do the night of, and then it was just like, nope, until really today I started to get a little thread, and it was really working with some of these energies today and a spiritual reboot, because we all really kind of need it right now, kind of closing the doors to the old and open up the new. So we're going to play in those energies today, and we're going to invite of course our angels in, and we may even do a question and answer at the end. We'll see kind of how that rolls today, but I'm really excited about getting started. Is there anything that's been going on with you all that in particular, many of you noticing old patterns kind of in your life kind of resurface over the last, maybe old feelings that you thought were gone, you kind of finished up, but they've kind of just popped back in. Hello.
It kind of feels like a test. You'd have a situation come up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm able to stand back a little bit and see that I would definitely am reacting differently to the way I used to.
That's cool. Anybody else?
I've had dreams where I've made up with all my ex-husbands.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But that's kind of the energy right now. It's like
Yep.
looking at these old patterns, and then it's so supportive in us, helping show us, like you were saying, what the shift that we've made, or the choice of a shift that we can make right now. And it's a really powerful and exciting time, but sometimes when being sensitive and you're out in the world, you can be overwhelmed with what's going on with everybody, because so much is shifting with each one of us, and it can be kind of overwhelming. I've really had to pay attention with my own self lately to just stop. Okay, let's stop the energy right there. I don't need to look at that anymore. I've felt it plenty in my life, and then consciously make a shift back. And especially when I'm around a lot of people and things happen. And so it's been a continuous reminder to be gentle with self through these energies, because really they're not going to get a lot easier. It's just that we're shifting. And so the more we just surrender into the shifts that are happening. For example, something very exciting, an announcement with Illuminations. We just today, some of you may have heard Victoria's been wanting to do a church for a long time. I use that term loosely. But today we met, and pastor, I'm going to be the assistant pastor of that. So every Sunday starting in January, we're going to be doing a service from 11:30 to 12:30, and we're going to kind of take turns doing it. So that's something that just literally, it's like, wow, and it felt so right in the moment. So there's going to be a lot of cool stuff like that, community type of things that are evolving out of this, this store and this community. So I'm really excited to be a part of that. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if those kind of are, happening for each one of you. Are you all experiencing your own kind of, whoa, that just came out of nowhere? Maybe a little surprised, because I didn't expect some of my speaking engagements to take that form, but when it was presented, it was like, yeah, that feels exactly right on target. It feels great. And thus another thread is, checking in with our hearts right now. The angels have been talking a lot to me about feeling. Some of you have seen my, I have a little project that I started, Feel Your Way to Joy project, which I started, and then it's kind of shifting after I started it. It's kind of taken a new, growing with this energy. And what I'm gonna do, that's why I was guided to get these roses. Going to, one of the things that Spirit has been guiding me, if you'll hold out your hands, I'm going to give you a few rose petals. And they're beautiful pink. I'll get you some big ones.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, got lots of rose petals.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Give Dawn some rose petals back here.
Yay.
So you may ask, why am I handing out rose petals? Well, I have all week, I keep thinking about roses, and I'm like, what is this rose about? And I kept having this vision of just imagine, like, feel the rose petal. Take a minute and just be with that rose petal for a minute. What does it feel like to you? Take a breath with it.
Reminds me of my childhood.
In what way?
Just the smell of it. Like we used to have a lot of flowers inside our house when we were growing up. Remember?
That's a good memory. So sometimes when we're really busy in life, we forget to just stop and touch. And so this project that I've been working on, being a steward for, is about feeling. It's about touching, taking time to touch, even utilizing our human senses to connect with Spirit through, these kind of things. And if we take time to do that, even on our day when we're eating, and it takes us right in the moment, just takes us right in the moment. So how beautiful with pink. Pink is the energy of divine love, compassion. And so I invite every one of you to touch your life, feel your life. Maybe it's emotions, or maybe it's just taking some time to just enjoy the physicality that we have here. It's such a blessing. And maybe leaving here tonight, if you could think of one thing that you might want to play with, pull out, touch. Maybe it's even, I don't know why that's coming to me, but it's a game. Maybe you have an old game or cards or something that just you enjoy touching, playing with, coins, stones, that when you get them out, you feel like a child. It maybe reminds you of, your inner child. And now, in this energy, it's so important to connect with this human part. One of the things that's happening in this energy is we're getting the opportunity to see two very different parts of ourselves. The part that is more detailed and structured, and the part that is completely unstructured, that's open to all that is. And learn, how do you work with both of these? Learn to work with the earthly, and learn to work with the completely energy, non-physical. And some of us, a lot of you all have, studied metaphysics and different kind of things throughout your life. If you've noticed, a lot of the teachings of the past have encouraged, this kind of out of body, getting used to the energies and all of these things, to where you kind of notice there's a lot of older teachers that in the old energy were, out of their bodies a lot, very ungrounded, kind of floaty. That was the energy of the time, but we're in a new energy now. We're in the energy of taking and learning how to bridge that with this in everything that we do. And it can be really challenging at times to do that. And it's almost like the analogy of like two different elements, like a metal, you know, like holding a bar of metal, and water, you know, or air, so to speak. They're totally different. They don't mix. But you have to learn to work with them together. How can they work together? How can they interact? And you can kind of just naturally flow with them. How you can learn to be okay with both energies at the same time. That has been a huge part of my shift over the last 5 years. And primarily, I didn't understand it until now, was one of the big reasons why I had to back out of doing intuitive work for a while, because I started with this super ethereal, stay out of my body, you know, play in the ethers with the angels. And then once the energy hit to where all of a sudden I was just instantly just dropped down. But if it wasn't for that, it taught me, oh, there's this huge difference. There's this dichotomy from, you know, the ethereal to the human. And here I've been hanging up here for most of my life. And I just kept going higher with working with the angels when I started that. And so literally I was thrust down into this place that I had never, a realm that I was completely unfamiliar with, which was dealing with emotion. What is it? How do you deal with it? All of those things. And it was so uncomfortable that I just couldn't do the intuitive work. Because when you're down in all of that, it closes and shuts you off of the, you know, the higher realms. So learning the balance has been, and it's an ongoing unfolding, but it taught me the journey of stepping into this dichotomy. And we get to this place in time and I'm like, wow, that's what all of that was about. That's what that whole experience of all of those years was unfolding, was getting to step back and forth into these two different dichotomies. And then now we can talk, can start sharing and talking about how do we merge them. Because we're at the 12/12 portal, you know, the Saturday, the new moon. We're like just spot on this intergalactic, inner energy, you know, portal of how do we do this? It's time. It's time for us all to just jump in to being able and opening our whole beings up to living a full spectrum, multi-dimensional self, which we are. Because before it was one or the other, and now we can do all of it. You can be with your spirit. You can be with the angels and be in your body and be connected to your feeling. It's all part of it. And we can now do that. And now it's like, how do you do that? Because a lot of us are used to the old patterns. We're still, you know, it's just part of it. It takes some time, doesn't it? In this human element, sometimes we got to jump out of a groove before things really shift. So, has anyone had any experiences with that in your own life as of late? What I'm talking about? Anything that stands out to you that you have noticed?
What do you mean specifically?
Just any experiences where you find yourself trying to merge those two aspects of yourself. The one that is, you know, free to explore in the all that is, and the one that seems tied down to this human experience.
That's a daily thing. That's what I was gonna say. I mean, it's constant all the time, every day. Partially because of my day job, which is handling calls and answering phones for psychiatrists and the network of offices and things like that. So it's just a constant struggle, but it's a constant balance act as well. And just striving with every call to try to, you know, help that person as best as I can in that moment. And so at the end of a busy or hard day, it's satisfying to know that, you know, I've put my all into every call, and I've actually tried to help the people as best that I could, and I served them in that way. And, you know, I have to take time when I get home to detox, decompress, and, you know, I don't know, it's just
Nurture yourself.
Yeah, it's absolutely a daily thing.
So I'm going to throw another dimension in there. So are some of you finding in your daily tasks that you're having your passions or new ideas of what you'd like to be doing bubbling up amidst all of that?
For sure.
Because that's where the key is with all this stuff. And how do you deal with that? Because that's what is being like a buffet being laid in front of our lives. Is there anyone that's not experiencing that to some level? That's the kicker here, is how do you do that? And it's interesting because I've had a lot of people, you know, that have been coming and having readings lately are on this dilemma of I want to do this, but I'm doing this. And the trick is we have the ability to actually do it both, and finding that space within us to just, you know, find a flow, connect with that space, and honor that passion, whatever it is, give it a voice. Now is the most important time to give our passions a voice. It is so important because each one of us is a part of not only our own, you know, life purpose, but about a bigger purpose too. You know, we're all light workers here. To raise the vibration of the planet, we can really only do it from our own vantage point. So following our passions is a vantage point, and one of the most important ones to actually raising the vibration of the planet. And so if we can do that in little ways, it's like baby steps. It doesn't have to be some giant mega step. For example, I'll use myself as an example. Early on when I left corporate and started doing readings and healing work, I found it kind of challenging because it was a huge salary shift, you know, moving from one to the other, and I had to really, I found a struggle inside. How do I, you know, even charging, and what do I charge, and, you know, putting myself out there. And what I learned is I had a lot of resistance within myself. You know, there's a lot of fear around abundance and that sort of thing. And what's shifted as of late with me these last couple of years is when I had to step out, I worked for a family business that I'm very blessed to be able to have a little bit of flexibility there. But it also taught me, and it's been such a teacher for me, of how I can step into both and actually have become a much stronger person and a much more grounded healer, because I'm okay and I can look at all the dark stuff without running from it. You know, dealing in the dark energies and the stuff that, you know, when you're ungrounded over here in this, that stuff can be really scary because you're not connected still to the earth plane. So learning how to just be in both energies is a real gift. So I encourage, and the angels keep talking about this stuff over and over again. I'm like, all right, I'm just open to share about it however we need to talk about it, because it is so important to just take a leap and step out in whatever small step that looks like for, you know, each and every one of you. And some of you, maybe you're already doing it. Well, keep going, keep building, because these next couple of years are going to be incredible of change. Like, we've only barely, we're all the inner stuff is, you know, getting us off our rockers, off our comfortable places to actually go and do what our souls are ready to do. So that's what this is all about. Taking time to touch, taste, smell, enjoy the daily experiences, because those, even at work, you know, doing a job that's not fun, maybe there's some time that, you know, you can connect, you know, smell the roses, have a flower by your desk, do things that help keep that alive. Simple things in your life help keep your passion alive that you can look at and bring into your day. I've had interesting stories along the time when I was working, because I would come into situations where I would end up doing a reading for somebody in the most unlikely place, or talk about these things and open doors in the most interesting spots. So you never know how or what that may look like. What I'd like to do now is do a little meditation. Archangel Raphael is stepping in with us. It's going to help us kind of shift some energies. Set these right here. So I'm going to invite you to get comfortable in your seat and take a nice deep breath. And actually, before we do that, we're going to do some actual breathing exercises. He said we need to do that first. So I'm going to teach you. Has anyone gone through or familiar with the 9-breath method? Have you heard of that before?
I've heard of it.
It's a Qigong. Okay, we need to do this because as a part of tonight, he's showing me that we're going to just kind of, it's about surrender. About surrender any old areas within our being that we're just ready just to surrender and just let go and let the universal light just come in and flood us and be open for these changes. So there's a couple of things to this. Take your hands, if you're right-handed, put your right hand on the outside and then put it over your belly button. And then we're going to do what's called a warrior breath. Warrior breath is chest breathing. And we're going to talk through this for a moment. But this is a very powerful grounding breath. So you just watch me, and I'm going to go through a cycle. Hold at the top for a minute. I'm going to swallow, and I'm going to move the air down to my belly. Then I'm going to hold it for a second, just maybe 2 seconds, and then I'm going to and then we're going to do that 3 times. So like for you all to try it once, I'll do it with me. So just hold your hands here. Maybe try a warrior breath. And we're going to do 9 of those. That's why it's called the 9-breath method. And if you want, if you all are sitting, you can, if it helps, you can go, you can kind of lean into the warrior breath. And if you get a little lightheaded, just slow your breathing down and just take it a little easier. So then just stop where you are on that one inhale, swallow, and move the air down to your belly. Just the best that you can. And then from there, as you hold that belly, let it all out until your belly goes back. And then we're going to just take a break, and then we're going to start again. We're going to do it 3 times. Anybody have any questions? Okay. You can follow me or go at your own pace, however you like. And then just take a regular cycle of breath or two. Or 3. And then whenever you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and start. And we're going to do it one more time. And just take a moment as you just kind of breathe naturally and swirl. Take your hands and move the energy around. You've actually pooled all of this light in your abdomen, in all of your lower chakras. Just imagine moving it all around, comforting your intestines and your organs that may have been going through a lot lately with these energies of change. And then go back the other way. Just a couple of times. And now, just sit in your comfortable place. You may find it a lot easier to meditate and go inward after doing that breathing. And we call in Archangel Raphael to assist us and guide us in this meditation. Dear ones, I invite you to imagine yourself in the most beautiful field of green, tall grass and beautiful wild flowers of your wildest imagination and dreams. I invite you to take in the smells of the beautiful natural energies that are all around you. Noticing what colors of flowers are around you. And in this beautiful nature scenery, you hear a bubbling brook in the distance, a nice gentle stream. And all of your senses heightened. You follow where this sound, this beautiful sound takes you, where the bubbling brook is located. One step at a time, feeling the grass beneath your feet or the dirt wherever you're walking to this beautiful bubbling brook. Just taking in all of the senses on this journey to the bubbling brook. Noticing the sounds of birds singing their song, singing their soul song, singing the song they were designed to sing. Remembering that each one of you has your own song that you were designed to sing, that you were designed to live, to love, to soar in your own spirit, in your own life. And when you get to the bubbling brook, I invite you to take your shoes off if you have any. And step on in that beautiful, gentle, healing water. Noticing how it feels on your feet. And dear ones, I surround you while you're in this beautiful water with my beautiful green healing light. And I invite you just with intention to allow this light to move into your heart space, deep within your heart space. And as it pulses through your heart space and into every cell of your body, I invite you to set an intention with me. An intention to just totally and completely surrender to this moment. An intention to let any cares or worries, whether they're for your health or someone else's health, whether they're for abundance or finances, whether they're about what am I going to do next, I invite you just to set them down. Just completely surrender all cares and worries in your life into this bubbling brook. I invite your spirits just to soar and light, to lift out of your bodies just for this moment. Just for this simple moment of allowing my healing energies to sweep and clear any dust and debris of the heart of your life out of your body and out of your mind, out of your heart, out of your muscles and tendons and bones. Sweeping any illusions out of your energy field, out of your chakras. Of any old perceptions that no longer serve you, may you just lay them down in this bubbling brook. Even if you don't know what they are, just being willing for anything that no longer serves you at this juncture, just be willing with intention to just set it down. And dear ones, my brother Michael is here, Archangel Michael is here to lend you his sword of courage. That within you is the courage of the universe. That while you're in this moment of surrender with your body, I invite you to allow you to feel this divine courage sink and allow it fully into your body, to its highest form for you right now. For your highest ability at this moment to trust the energies of now in your life. To trust the messages and the repetitive patterns and thoughts that are nudging you in new directions, that are opening new doors. And so it is. Now just gently, as your feet are in the brook, just start feeling your feet again. Feeling the water rushing over your feet. Allowing your spirit to come back down into your body. With a totally clear, new energy in your body, a new light, a new peacefulness, the new courage of now, the new health of now, the new abundance of now, a new sense of safety for where your life's going. And completely detached from any energies that no longer serve you, that you have laid down. And when you're ready, I invite you to step out of the bubbling brook and walk back through the field of your dreams, the field of your love. And come back into your body and open your eyes. It's your own time. And that was Archangel Raphael's way of hitting the reset button for us today. Starting fresh. Sometimes that's all it takes, is just a fresh intention, just a moment, just to detach from the physical just long enough to connect with our spirits. Mm-hmm. And I am guided to kind of shift gears. I'm going to open the evening up for questions and tuning into energies that are around us. So if I'm just going to shift gears myself, because I'm going to, being in the Archangel energy, some deceased loved ones, if there's anyone that needs to share anything right now, open and invite those energies in to share a message. First, I'm drawn to Sherry for a minute. Your dad just keeps swirling around you, but your dad's here.
Mm-hmm.
He's been heavy on your heart lately.
What about his health?
The angels are telling you that he's going to be okay. It's important for your health and your sense of peace to just set that down. Like if you could give the worries over to your angels,
Okay.
that would be awesome. It would give you a little sense of lightness to help you in your day-to-day. That was from Archangel Raphael. And you have two other angels that are working with you. Ariel has been working with you, and invite her in. She is the angel. Are you familiar? Would you like?
I remember some of them.
Ariel, she's about bringing courage right now. But it's a dynamic kind of courage with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a courage of making some significant decisions right now that are really kind of new for your spirit. Like, because you've been in, a mode for a while, and you just kind of dance with it a little bit. Just kind of play with some of these new ways for your life. Like, just there's a lot of different possibilities for you. Your spirit, I have so many gifts. Just, and invite you to play with it right now.
Okay.
Don't have to make any quick decisions. Now's the time to play. To play. And your automatic writing that you do,
Mm-hmm.
it would be really cool if you would connect with Ariel right now.
Okay.
She'll come in really strong for you.
That's cool.
Have you been drawn all of a sudden green foods? Have you been eating a lot of green foods? Does that come up?
Some. Yeah.
That's really good for you right now, greens.
Mm-hmm.
However, whatever form, resonates to you, but green foods is good for you. Cheese? What? I looked this way and all of a sudden I got cheese. Somebody over here eat a lot of cheese? Or okay, no wonder. It's like, oh, that's hilarious, you all. So what is it about the cheese? Have either of you all been having, I feel like, some intestinal, a little bit of discomfort?
Actually, I have not.
You have not?
Actually, my stomach's been good lately.
Oh, good. So what is this about? Well, Liz, for you, the dairy, with your sensitivity, like your spiritual sensitivity, it can tend to, right at this juncture for you, be a little cloggy.
Okay.
So in the emotional flow, it can kind of tend to be a little cloggy for that. Does that make sense when I say that without getting?
Yeah.
So that, if you shifted that a little bit, the angels say that would help you right now.
Okay.
Is that what that was all about? Yes, because Liz, you've been asking about how can I feel,
Yes.
so that's your angels.
Okay.
That will help you more than I think you realize it will.
Okay.
And your mother keeps coming up too.
Now, my mom's here.
Yeah, there's a heavy, a little bit of a heaviness with her right now.
For sure.
And I feel like, because I immediately feel that heart, just bringing that up. But I feel like you laid down a lot of that just now. when we did the meditation. You set it down. So I'm asking, what does Spirit have for you right now? Because these are the angels coming in right now. They're saying it's going to be all right with her. Give it some time.
Yeah.
And you've been hearing them.
Yeah.
You've been praying for them too. Intervention. Is there an alcohol connection with her? Okay, there's somebody else coming in then. We're switching gears. That was all we needed there.
Okay.
Is there who in here, I feel like over here, alcohol with a deceased loved one? Okay, let's see. Is it a grandfather? Do you have a grandfather that's with you?
Well, I mean, maybe around me, but
So where is this leading us? Was your father have alcohol connection? Okay, then that's not where the alcohol connection is. Where's the alcohol connection?
Maybe it was my
He-
father.
Yeah. Yep, as soon as you... And what was his name?
Birch.
Birch?
Birch.
Birch tree. Hmm. Birch is coming forth with some grief. He is there's some sorrow around him and your life, and he wants to tell you how sorry he is for putting you in that kind of position that you've been in and were in with him. And he is so sorry and wishes to help heal your heart now from that energies. To let your little girl, because he shows me that there's a part of you from experiencing those energies that just kind of had to escape. And it's time, he says he's working with you to help you reclaim that. Let that little girl come back into life and enjoy. That's what he wants for you more than anything now. And if I could, I would like to give you a hug because he's with me. Mm-hmm. And is your mother still here?
Yeah.
No, she's on the other side. Is he saying sorry for what he did with her too? Because you saw it.
Yeah. I've been trying to work on the healing the energy. So like last month and a half.
No, then that's an important. Is there a newspaper connection with him or anything that you memory associated to newspaper? Because he keeps showing me newspapers, like news. Was it? Now I'm getting back, like any kind of bad news or, oh, okay. So there was, he oftentimes delivered bad news. That's what I'm hearing. That was kind of his pattern. And again, he's showing me what of a negative energy that he was when he was here. And he said he's so proud of you for how that you've been able to deal with that and move forward in your life and work through some challenging relationships and build yourself to where you are right now. And with your permission, he would like to be a guardian angel with you to help you through this next stage, help you reclaim your inner child right now. So your mother's going to come in for a minute. I feel her. I'm going to ask for her name because it'll help me focus in on it a little better.
It's Beulah.
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 She shows me as a, which is why I needed help tuning in with her a little bit. She was kind of quiet. She had a quiet side to her. And that's, her soul is just a real more gentle soul. Were you by her bedside when she passed, or get to see her close to that time? Because
Well, I just left the hospital and went home to take a shower
yeah,
and get fresh clothes, and she passed while
she's so happy that you were there. But it's okay, she says, that you were there as long as you needed to be, because when you left, it actually helped her to go in that moment. So you were hearing that. You were listening to the universal unfolding. She's showing me red balloons. Does that mean anything to you in particular? What does that mean? Oh, do you have something that connects with? Because I have a spiritual symbol that just popped in.
her favorite color was red, and my favorite color is red, but balloons don't ring a bell.
Okay, well, just relating it to setting her free. It just shows me like, and she's relating it to your passions right now. She's connecting that it's time to set your passions free, let them go, like let yourself lift off. She's using that to show me that. Do you like to sew or work with, did she have that connection?
She made quilts.
Okay, yeah, she's showing me sewing. But she says there's something that there's an art, there's a craft for you too. I don't necessarily get that it's sewing, but there's a craft that you've been tinkering about, deciding on whether to do or not. And if it's, are you familiar? You know what I'm talking about?
Well, I mean, I like all sorts of crafts, but
There's one that you've been deciding on focusing on. She keeps saying there's one in particular. Be good to play in. She shows me buttons. Is there a connection with clothes, or that's what I think of immediately when I think of a button? Play with that. There's something there. There's a craft. And when it comes across, then that button may mean something before too long. Play with that. Tammy and Archangel Michael. You've been working with him a lot, haven't you? He's been working with you a lot,
yes,
if you haven't.
He's probably been more than I'm aware, but yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He shows me that you're really cutting through stuff right now. It's you're charging forward
Yes.
and giving like a good like applause, like.
Okay.
And sometimes for yourself, it's good to do that. Applaud yourself for the work that you're doing.
Yes,
You've really
been encouraging me to do that.
so
Yeah.
way to go. Keep
Yes.
going.
So thank you. Yes, he's a good cheerleader.
You also talk to him more clearly and receive messages more than you think that you do.
Oh, okay.
If you would just sit down and just go, hey, Michael, what message do you have for me right now? You'd get that pen out. Imagine that energy just coming through, intentional through your hand, and just the first thing that comes out, just write it.
Okay.
Play with that,
Okay.
because he keeps showing me that that's something that will help you a lot
Okay.
on your current journey.
Good. Thank you.
And Martha, Archangel Gabriel, is She's tooting her horn as a symbol of, expressing yourself. That energy. She's one of your guardian angels right now. You've been asking for support on. You're writing too. That's the writing stuff for you too, of stepping into that. She's showing me that within the next kind of 3-month window, you're gonna have an ease up that's gonna help you with that. Because you've been concerned about it. Like, when am I gonna actually be able to do this? Give it just a little bit of time, but keep your intentions clear and open. But she says start by playwriting. There's some energies that you can just write out for a little bit before you kind of focus in on. Sometimes you're kind of like me, I think, with that, where you want to get to work and you want to just get it done, but it's time to do a little playwriting first. So where you don't thinking about what I have to do. It's just
play.
Just play.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank Gabriel.
Yes. Very definitely.
And Jackie Melchizedek works with you.
Boy, all these people showing up.
Hello, Melchizedek. He has a strong energy. And this very strong charging forward energy with you, like charging forward with what you're doing. This comes full body. And you're really close to channeling with him. Very close.
Okay.
If you need any help with that, let me know, because I feel like you're already doing it. You're just on the verge of going for it.
Was him in particular?
Definitely him in particular.
Okay.
But there's a lot more. But his energy is very strong, and it'll be he's stepping up, because
Okay.
you've been asking, okay, who is this to work with? So he's stepping up for you right now. Very much aligned with kind of your energy. And he's going to help you with the teacher part of your purpose. Very, he says, good job for setting up your first class outside of the Reiki area. Keep going with that. As soon as you get inspired, just do it. There's like another one. And what he says for you, sometimes you have a tendency to kind of want, in the old energy, want to teach something that is kind of prepackaged. Does that make sense when I say that? Like, I'm going to use Reiki, for example, because it's been taught a lot. The spirit is aligning with you now to kind of teach out of those out of those lines. Like, really just be creative with your teaching. Like, play with the creativity of it. Because I see you kind of going outside of the areas that you've been trained in, because you have a lot of experiences to bring to the table.
Okay.
Play with it, and you will be guided, and they will support you in whatever you're doing. And the more that you do readings and that, the more that will bring healing for you. The more that you do it, the quicker and the more that you're going to step into that, because it's.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions? Anything that I feel like, is there anything for Connie today? You're the only one we hadn't gotten to yet. Rocky just steps out and he just says, tell Mom to go for it. Go for it. Just go for it. You have nothing to lose. And he's talking about your heart, because he's putting his hand on the heart as he says that. Whatever your heart, because sometimes he says that you second guess what you're, a lot of times we all do that, but he shows me second guessing kind of. There's nothing to second guess with your heart. Just go for it.
What are we talking about?
This is the time. This is the time for you to really make a choice from here, because you have a couple different things on your plate, different opportunities, but to go from here. And if you're not sure yet, give it a couple of weeks, because you're gonna that next jump is gonna be a little clear for you after we get through this cycle.
Yeah, my head keeps feeling like there's a block on top of it all the time. Is that normal?
Your head feels like there's a block on it.
Like something pushing down on it constantly.
Yes, your crown chakra, you keep closing it. It's a very simple way to open it back up. And it's not uncommon in this energy being cycled through these kind of waves. And I know personally that you've been, through some pretty dive in, in the waves. It wouldn't be uncommon to want to close that going into those waves, because our body, it's such a dichotomy again, what we're talking about. Crown chakra is pure love, pure cosmic, pure, all that is. And then when you dive through pain, sometimes it's like we have to get used to keeping that crown open when we go through challenges. So that's one thing that would be really a powerful thing for all of you to play with. If you find yourself going into any challenging situation or repetitive pattern in your life, and it starts bringing up the emotions, they start flowing, check in with your crown chakra. And I will almost guarantee you that if you take a minute to go, does everybody here realize that just with intention, you can open up any of your energy, you can open it all up. Just set that intention and ask, is my crown chakra open? And if you're feeling heavy or, weight up here, probably not. And then just imagine, just open it. Say, I'm ready for you to open. And imagine it open. You can imagine a flower opening up, whatever visualization or intention in your wildest dreams, just imagine that and do it. And it'll just be like all of a sudden the light comes in, and then it just kind of flushes over. The heavy stuff becomes way less heavy, and like it doesn't really matter near as much. So if you find that really common in this energy where that'll kind of shut off, in that dichotomy. So that's a good one. Thanks for bringing that up. I just last week had one of those things where I was just like, I went into some experience and it just made me just shut off for a minute. And then all of a sudden it just was like, whoa, I just closed the crown chakra. And it took me straight down into the funk. And so, and also you can play with that more, any kind of visualization to get that energy. Imagine it just coming all the way through. Does anybody have any questions? Anything?
I kind of have a question. I had a situation arise at work earlier this week where there were a couple of things on my plate. There were a lot of things on my plate that day, but I didn't want to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel equipped to deal with them. And I steeled myself up to deal with it. I'm going to take care of this, I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like, angels help me. And what actually happened was, the situations, there were two patients I didn't want to see for specific reasons
Mm-hmm.
that I never had seen that were put on my schedule. And they became unavailable, both of them. And then I felt guilty. I should have seen them, but they weren't available. I mean, situations happened where I could not see them.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of my first response being, thank you, angels, and just it was, oh, I feel guilty. I feel guilty that I didn't do this because I should have done this. But it was removed from my control to do it. Does that make sense?
Totally. So would you like to hear the answer to that?
Yes.
Because the whole gamut of what they're helping you with in that moment is no matter which direction you take, you're going to end up to the guilt until you forgive yourself and allow yourself, like it would be okay to make the choice up front and say and put it out on the table to whoever may need to know that it's not going to work for me. Because if you did that, you would have still felt guilty to even do that.
Well,
It came up.
My boss had told me with one of them, if you don't feel comfortable, I don't have a problem with you not seeing this person.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't matter because they were unavailable to be seen.
But do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, I tend to feel guilty when
Yes.
I'm not perfect.
Yes. So no matter what was going to happen, that guilt was going to come up, one way or the other.
Sometimes
And it came up that way so that you could really experience it.
yeah, I really did.
So what's the worst thing that would happen if you didn't get to see him like you didn't? What's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Nothing. Nothing.
Nothing. So is that a true emotion that keeps surfacing? Is that something that
It usually doesn't.
is that
work.
is that a valid story that keeps resurfacing?
No, it's not. It's very unusual.
So when that comes up again, because that was a way for it to surface, how are you going to greet it the next time?
I guess, but I'm really comfortable doing this. And
You know why that's coming up in a bigger way in your life? Because there's other areas where that energy is present. So you've been asking for help with how do I do this? And you're going to have to greet the guilt up front. It's more about kind of the other areas. As you greet that and just bump up against, I don't really, this is not something I want to do anymore, I'm not uncomfortable doing this. As you greet it and accept that emotion, that it's valid, but it's just a story. It's not something that, it's part of this human experience. It's kind of like surrounding it with unconditional love. That's one of the things that is really important right now, is when emotions come up, to just remember, like if you're anger, guilt, any of these kind of negative emotions, because we all have different things coming up like that, is to remember not to push it away, just look at it. Because that's unconditional love. Like, it's accepting the emotion. They are the tools that we have to know whether we're in alignment with source or not, our emotions. Like, they're God-given tools. Like, if we keep cycling in the same thing, our perspective is not in alignment with Source. It's off perspective. It's not in alignment with love. If we keep seeing guilt, shame, fears, all that kind of stuff, it's just a reminder, hey, wait a second, where's my perception not in alignment with the highest sense of who I am as a child of the Creator, of, So then you can remember that and then go, okay, how am I looking at this that is creating me to feel guilt? What perspective about my own self is creating the guilt or the anger or whatever it is? Because we all, again, every one of us has to deal with that in some area. We're all in these human experiences, bodysuits, and we all gotta.
It'd be messy, right?
Yes. That's part of the deliciousness. Even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it at all. But that's where we all have to kind of be focusing right now, is those emotions come up, not pushing them away, just look at them. There's the whole different thing. I don't feel like anybody in this room is like in the addiction pattern where you're so addicted. I've had a friend who taught me so much about emotions. She had severe traumas growing up and was addicted to creating these emotional dramas about things. I learned so much from watching her. And we talked about it, and it helped me actually come into accept, oh, these aren't so bad. Like, she was my teacher to help me learn that these were not such a big deal. But you're creating all these stories, but it's all about unconditional love. And then the second we get to that place of unconditional love, we move those emotions up the scale by seeing them from a different perspective, then life becomes a lot easier, where we don't have to get drowned out in it. Or we can shift our perspective really quick. Does that help? Is that kind of?
Yeah, it wasn't feeling guilt from not doing my job or these people not getting their therapy that day.
Mm-hmm.
It was, what had happened was, not my boss, but one of my supervisors at work took an extra day off, and they gave me her caseload, and she's a specialist in certain things that I'm not a specialist in. So I was more like feeling bad that I had let her down.
I was going to say, when you're talking about it, it all goes to your sacral chakra. Your sacral goes, which is our sense of self,
Right.
Yeah,
I had let her down, and she was fine with it the next day. It didn't bother her. That's
Yep.
fine, So she didn't have a problem. She was happy she got the day off and thanked me for taking over her caseload. Because I saw a lot of other patients too that were normally on her caseload. So she was like, fine. She had a good day off, and enjoyed it. So she didn't care.
But if you were to take that pattern, that's the same pattern that you experience in other areas.
Now, I don't like to let people down.
Mm-hmm. Which is really about letting self down.
Yeah.
It's all a mirror.
Sometimes.
But remember, when we look at our own self about things, a lot of times we can't necessarily see that part because we're so in the story.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to kind of take a step back and let that story kind of surface a little bit more. At least that's what I've found in my life, because I'll think that I'll understand the story, but not really until I really back out of it, or sometimes get another perspective, can help.
Well, it is about sense of self, but
what?
I think it's more like I don't want to be perceived as lacking.
That's our ego. We all have some ego. That's all right. It's part of the It's wonderful just to acknowledge it. Just to acknowledge it.
But I have a tendency to overly try to please others. Even when I don't feel like it, even when I feel it's detrimental to me.
I don't totally join the club.
You know, so
Yeah.
sometimes, I mean, I have this other friend that every time I say no,
Mhm.
or I can't, she's,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Isn't it, I mean, it's kind of a relief just to say it out loud, you know, like you just put it out there because it's, you know, we all got those different kind of little shadows to our ego that come out in different ways. But then once you acknowledge it and, you know, it's all right and put it, you know, the story has a tendency to start to shift at that point. Any other questions?
I actually have a question. I'm a big fan of Louise Hay's work,
Uh-huh.
and I get strange little things that happen in my body. Like right now, I have an issue with my shoulder, and I love that. I think you know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Spirit's telling me what's going on in that way that I could use my, Heal Your Body app and look what's going on.
Right.
But how can I shift that? What's the best? I mean, is there anything that I could be doing to, it's very uncomfortable to have these little things happen all the time. You know what I mean?
Well, let's just talk about shoulders.
Okay.
That's one that I can very much relate with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's,
Well,
If you wanna-
what it is when I turn my head, it hurts very bad. So it's related to neck, I think, just as much as the shoulder.
It's coming from your neck.
Yeah, I think
Physically,
so.
it's coming from your neck.
Yeah.
so any kind of shoulder thing is really about carrying.
Feeling overburdened.
Right, and if it's connected to your voice, it's about being burdened about saying what I really need to say. You know, putting that energy out there. That's something that is typically not an overnight. It's something you practice.
This
You
is something that I woke up with. It felt like I slept wrong one day. Well, that may be the physical part of it, you know what I mean? Like, one morning I just woke up and it was like, okay, I can't move my neck today.
But remember, in these energies that we're in, they're cycling through stuff really fast. So you may just have something come up and not really even realize that there's something, in your energy body, physical body connection that is traipsing through that area. You know, if you take a moment in the morning, the one thing that I tend to do if I have that come up is what is weighing on my heart, what's weighing on my shoulders, what do I need to say? Because I've had a lot of that too around my neck and throat and all of that. And I ask myself questions. I think that's one of the best things we can do when we're in those situations we have. Is there anything that I need to know about what's going on with this? Is there something that I can do? Because maybe sometimes we just need to get a massage or, just have the energy worked through. But I ask myself those questions all the time if I have something come up. And I always get answers.
Yeah.
Like, for example, one thing that came up with me, an old thing just today, I think there's a lot of these old, like we talked about, just nurturing ourselves through it. But I had an old, I could feel the whole energy channel, like went down my lower back on this side. And it was a tendency to hold back and take on the world kind of thing, and afraid of abundance and that kind of thing. And today I'm like, wow, that really did come around, and asking myself the question. And then I just keep finding myself stepping out of it. How can I step out of this and what I'm doing? And I find just going out and being my highest self, and stepping into it, it just has a tendency to kind of fall away.
Okay.
But
Maybe the cheese will help that.
maybe. Maybe. That's hilarious. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Along those same lines, I went for a walk on Thanksgiving Day. Just a nice gentle walk, flat surface,
Mm-hmm.
and my knee has been giving me fits ever since. Never had knee problems before.
Which, is it your right knee?
My
Left knee?
Mhm.
Well, you know what knees, do you know what knees about?
It's like not walking through or afraid to walk through.
That
situation.
being flexible to go with the flow, you know. So being on the left side would be about receptivity. So being open to new things coming your way and just going with them if that's coming up. I also feel that's connected to just body changes for you right now. Have you been tight back here?
I stay tight
Back there. If you could get this worked out, it actually will help with this. You have a little bit of a twist going on. That will help with that.
Okay.
But there's a little bit of the emotional energy that's there too. All of that. That's the cool thing. It's all connected. So you can work from all different angles, of course. But that would really help you just getting some work back there.
Thankfully, I have a good massage therapist now. Tammy introduced me to.
Oh, fantastic.
Great lady,
Oh,
so,
good, I was gonna say,
yeah.
get a massage
I
or
have an
go
appointment
to a
next week.
chiropractor. too.
Yeah.
I used to see a chiropractor all the time, and he skipped town, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't venture to bet that everyone in here probably could use a session in this energy. Just some kind of self-nurturing treatment.
Or
Oh,
all
God.
of the
Oh, yeah, or all of the above. Help. So, any other questions? We'll kind of wrap up.
How about feet? Like, my feet hurt. And I even did the reflexology with Carrie at the psychic fair
Mhm.
Saturday. She says a lot of it's related to neck and shoulder issues. But then I went to see David Arms, the energy guy.
Mhm.
And he said, I'm walking on eggshells. I'm not speaking my truth and not standing my ground, and I'm walking on eggshells. And he says, until I stop that, my feet are gonna hurt.
And that would be where I would go. But you have to remember too, when you're a little girl walking on eggshells with your situation that you were in, that's exactly why. So as you heal that inner child and begin to honor that you can walk on firm ground, so claim your firm ground everywhere you go. Like, try creating a practice around stepping on solid ground wherever you go. That your feet are solid ground. This ground is solid for you. And if it comes up, notice your emotions. If you don't believe it, then kind of play with that story a little bit and say, that was the little girl, I'm nurturing her now. And you can switch it and play with that. But I have solid ground to walk on now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? It's time to play. How about we all get up and do a jiggy? Get in the jiggy.
I told you I'd give you Jean White Eagle.